Definitely is.
Good to see you, Michael.
Good to see you again, Andy.
How are things going for you these days?
Pretty good, pretty good. Classes back rolling around, so it's good to get back into the groove again. Definitely.
A lot of work at UNCG going on right now.
Yeah, it is actually. I got a pretty big workload this semester, and working up at the radio station on Thursday nights. I'm part of a sports talk show, so that's pretty cool. And I'm working for the school newspaper. I'm a sports reporter as well. So
is that like the school newspaper, the Carolinian?
The Carolinian.
Good stuff. That's good work there. Good resource work.
For sure. So I've got a full plate, but it's definitely fun.
Yeah, the more the better, really.
For sure.
Because they all kind of feed off each other, don't they?
Yeah, I think they intertwine and mingle pretty good. So yeah, it all meshes in pretty good.
Probably a lot of stuff you do with the newspaper you probably can bring over to the radio station too, I would think.
Yeah, I mean we try to discuss as many things as we can at the station. I mean we definitely cover UNCG sports, but we touch on that. But I mean this year a lot of our airtime has been about the Panthers.
I bet so.
This historic season, so it's me and this guy named Matt and a girl named Kate, and me and Matt are huge fans. So we ramble about the Panthers. Definitely.
When does your program run? What time?
9 to 11 p.m.
So you got a late show then. That's interesting.
The late slot.
Late time slot. Yeah, so that gives you time to prepare for that. No doubt about that. And you kind of can grab some of the students coming out of the class at night too. They finish up their schoolwork for that day on the campus, and maybe try to tune in for that as well with you guys.
Yeah, or a lot of students work around campus and stuff. So when they get off, they can definitely tune in as well.
Mm-hmm. How long have you had this going now?
This is my second semester going. Mm-hmm. So
started it back in the fall.
Yeah, back in the fall. So
the Panthers is the hot topic now. The
hot topic. Got to when they're in the Super Bowl.
What about UNCG sports? Do you guys talk quite a bit about that too? I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean definitely men's basketball.
What's the hot sport on the campus right now?
Men's basketball, I would say. Even though they've been struggling lately, we try to give them some love. But in the fall, it was definitely the soccer team. They had a really historic year for them. They actually won the SoCon regular season title, which they hadn't done in a long time.
Pretty well, yeah.
They had a bunch of good talent. They had Jacques Francois. He was SoCon Player of the Year, and Leroy Manague was the SoCon Freshman of the Year and second team freshman All-America. So, the soccer team was definitely a hot spot in the fall, and the winter we try to keep it towards basketball at UNCG.
And the basketball men's team, how are they doing right now?
They're not doing so hot.
Did they pick up a win against Samford recently? Maybe a recent win?
Yeah, at home, because it got rescheduled because of the snow, but they played the next day and they got that win. But they've been doing decent in conference. They're 3-4. But 3 of the wins have been at home, so they've defended home court pretty well. But
so 3-4 in the conference overall,
in the SoCon,
and all 3 wins at home. Okay.
Right.
Are they still playing all the games in the Coliseum, none on campus?
Yeah, in the Coliseum. And they have 4 losses, but 3 of those were to some of the best teams in the SoCon. They took Western Carolina into overtime and lost. East Tennessee State, they lost by 3 at their place, and Chattanooga, one of the favorites in the SoCon, they lost at Chattanooga.
I was going to ask who is the favorite to win the conference this year.
I think Chattanooga, even though they are a mid-major type level team, I think not a people will give them a lot of love. I think they can make a run in the tournament.
And you're able to go to the games at the Coliseum, track the team up and close?
Yeah, I try to as much as I can. Like I said, I've been really busy, but I actually caught some of their games during winter break. I went to see them play at Wake Forest and a game at State. So
you saw the game at State. You saw the ACC games then. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I try to catch a couple of them because this year the tournament's not at the Coliseum, so all their big games were kind of away. So I tried to catch some of them. Any
continuation with the GTCC? Keep up those guys any at all, or kind of moved on from that?
I think I kind of moved on for that. I figured, Bryson's coming up behind me. I figured he could, if he wanted to, he could probably take care of them guys over there.
What about, get back to the Panthers, and what do you think the strength is going into the Super Bowl game? What's going to allow them to go on and win that game and maybe win it by a couple of touchdowns? What do you think?
I think the defense, to be honest, Cam Newton should be MVP. He gets a lot of recognition. The defense gets, some love, but I think they should get more love. I think they're. I'm this may be biased because I'm a fan, but I thought they were no doubt one of the best teams in the NFL this season.
You think about the crazy thing is, you take away that one game. They lost that one game. Those guys would currently still be unbeaten with a chance to win the Super Bowl and equal what the Dolphins did, actually surpass them because playing more games. I mean, there's a lot of history involved with that team. That's some huge stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely in this modern day where, it's hard to get a win in the NFL in general. Nonetheless, 13 and 14 in a row. But it was kind of interesting to me when they did lose to the Falcons. It's like as soon as they lost to the Falcons, they stopped talking about the defense for a while. They bring up the Seattle again, or they bring up the Denver and New England, and they kind of forget about them, even though they're 16 or 17-1. Is that right?
17-1, yeah.
17-1. Wow,
it's amazing. And the talent pool is definitely thick because they have guys getting hurt during games. They still win games. I mean, they had Roman Harper went out with a bad eye. You had Thomas Davis goes out with a bad arm, and other guys step in and just carry on.
Yeah, and you got to think, even in the beginning of the season, Kuechly was out a few games.
He sure was. I mean, he's being mentioned to be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year, but he missed 2 or 3 games with a concussion probably had, and came back. He's probably playing better now than he played before he got hurt, and his pass coverage has just gotten unreal. He's one of the best. He could play defensive back if he had to.
He really could. The play that sticks out to me is on Thanksgiving when they were in Dallas.
Yeah.
He caught that interception over the shoulder. That was incredible. But, it's definitely nice to have a linebacker who can, tackle in space and can drop back in coverage and play like a cornerback pretty much.
How is he going to play? That's the question about Thomas Davis. How is Thomas Davis going to play in that Super Bowl game with a broken arm? They said they're going to put something in his arm, but will that change the movement of his arm?
I definitely think that'll affect it. I mean, I would like to hope to think that he would play, but I really don't know if he's going to play. He had surgery Monday, I think it was.
It was Monday, yeah.
And I don't think that's enough time to heal it pretty good for the Super Bowl. But
you wonder about that 2 weeks to come. I remember back in the day when somebody break their arm, it'd be like 6 weeks and don't do anything. Even when you came back, you'd still be a little slow coming back. There's like him coming back and playing. And they said he practiced either yesterday or today without a cast, just kind of a wrap around his arm. And I think anytime they kept him out of the major contact drills, but he's out there working out. He wants to play bad.
He does, and well, a lot of people say, this most of the time the Super Bowl comes once in a lifetime, to take the opportunity. I guess if you have a messed up arm or not, he's probably going to go for it 100%.
I guess probably, yeah, you just go for 100% and you come back after that. It looks like Mr. Hopkins is in the house, and Don will get him lined up tonight. Josh Hopkins in for Dudley. He'll be our next guest. But you think about you come in, I guess it's just all or none, and make it go crazy that one game and play as hard as you can. And they've got great trainers, great medical staff. They know what they're doing to get them ready. People like Chelsea, she would play in that game. She would play in the Super Bowl.
For sure. I guess he has the mentality that he can heal it in the off season. So
probably the mentality too, try to block it out. I mean, you got the pain, but he kind of blocks it out, keeps going.
Yeah, I think the adrenaline will probably definitely be there in the Super Bowl. His mind probably won't be on his arm, to say the least.
I tell you, it'd be good for him to play if he could, because he and Luke Kuechly together, just such a combination.
Yeah, and it's something because they're undoubtedly the best linebacker duo in the league, but they also have Shaq Thompson.
He's unreal. He's almost like a defensive back. I think he played some defensive back in college. He can cover well too, and they've got the other linebacker there too with those guys. The fourth
they
guy
have
who came on
AJ Klein.
Klein is outstanding. Yeah,
he filled in for Kuechly very well when he was, and they also have Jared Mayo, who's a 5th-round pick this year. So they're definitely deep at linebacker. So
the coaches always say it starts up front with the defensive line. That's what makes those linebackers able to roam around and make the plays they do. And their defensive line has been extremely effective this year.
Yeah, when they talk about the Panther defense, they like to talk about Kuechly and Davis, but the defensive line is by far one of the best in the league this year as well. Quan Short, who's got double-digit sacks this year, played out of his mind. Star Lotulelei, Jared Allen, who's been hurt, but hopefully he'll be back for the Super Bowl.
He wants to play bad too. He wants to get back in there.
Yeah. Charles Johnson, a veteran.
It was great to get him back. Yeah.
So I mean, their line is just as deep as the linebackers, which is crazy to think.
Everybody thought the defensive backfield would be a question mark, but those guys have come on strong. And you got Josh Norman, who's become one of the more, there he is on TV right now, number 24.
Oh, yeah.
This should have second to one of the more vocal players on that team, and it's kind of a fun vocal when they're winning like they have been.
Right.
I don't think people mind that loud approach they have.
Yeah, I didn't think that anybody would take the spotlight away from Richard Sherman from a year or two ago, but it looks like Norman's done it and done it with pride and not even cared about it. And, he's living up to the talk. It'd be something if he just liked to talk a lot, but he's living up to it.
So you think tonight is the show for you guys, right? 9 to 11? When you start up tonight, you think it'll be a lot of Panther talk again this evening then?
Oh, probably, because our show's 2 hours.
It's a pretty good run, yeah?
Yeah, last week, I think we talked about the Panthers. It was an hour and a half, so it's hard to fit everything else in there with the Panthers.
Are you able to take, people email stuff you guys way or text you guys stuff, or probably don't take phone calls because of the campus phone system?
We don't really take phone calls, but there's a Facebook page, and we try to have
interact on there.
Right, we try to have a question of the night to get some guys to interact and stuff, and we always welcome people to give their insight.
So how do you like that station?
I like it. It's interesting. It's a local station, so it's not a really big station. And first semester, I was a DJ, so did some of the music and fell into the talk show, which I like a lot better. But it's different music.
I think one of our guys, Jared Pike, used to do a sports talk show years ago. He was at UNC.
Yeah.
Jared Pike from 107.5 KZL. You heard Jared Pike?
Yeah.
I think he was there back in the day. I think I read that somewhere.
Right, I'm sure, because they've had music there a long time, but I think it's usually just one sports talk show at a time, and guys coming in and out of that. But
I remember back in the day, it's been about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe now, former Vandalia Christian School graduate John Walker went down to the station 103.1, and he was in there from, I think it was late Sunday night. He was there like a week nonstop on the air, broke the Guinness Book of World Records, longest radio appearance. John Walker, Vandalia Christians. I went and visited him a couple of times down there.
That's crazy.
John did not. You could take a brief nap. That's part of the Guinness Book of World Records rules. You could take a brief nap, I think, maybe once a day for maybe X amount of minutes. You had to get up and go again.
Wow.
He stayed on the air that long.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're only on there 2 hours, and sometimes it seems like it takes.
Sometimes
forever.
it's like you're only there for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's like you're in there for 6 or 7 days.
Yeah.
That's how I can get.
Yeah.
But boy, if you were back in the day when we were doing sports talk shows, back when I was in that more detail on the radio side, we would have our talk shows, and we'd have a 3-hour show at times. If you're not getting calls during those times, you are really hurting. But fortunately, over the years, we got a lot of calls. This day and time, the more and more sports talk shows I listen to, they don't. Some take calls, some don't take as many calls. That's now more it's more and more sports talk shows are becoming more guest-driven, I think, than they were in the past.
That's
a lot of guests lined up over 5 or 6, 7 minute slots.
Yeah, that's what we try to do.
You get some guests in too?
Yeah,
that's good.
There's a lot of guys that help around the station, and one guy might be familiar with soccer and one basketball, so we try to rotate some people in there to get some different perspective and opinion.
And when they come in, they're pretty good talkers. They usually do a good job.
Sure.
That helps.
It does.
You ever able to get the coaches in there? They come in. That's got to be tough, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've tried. I mean, I would love to have Coach Miller in there. Either some other coaches, but I guess their schedules too.
Yeah, you're lucky if you get those guys.
Yeah, it's kind
once
of
in
tough
a blue
to get in
moon.
there.
Because usually, if they're not coaching in a game, they're out recruiting somewhere on those off nights.
It's even hard to get players in there. We don't really get players in there either, but it'd be nice to have players and coaches.
Funny thing is, back when I was in the early days of my radio work a long time ago, anyway, we broadcast on that station, did UNCG games on the station, campus station. I remember doing a broadcast one night doing UNCG versus Wake Forest at Wake Forest. That was a memorable night. They didn't win, but they still played fairly well against Wake Forest.
That's how they did this year. Actually, I was fairly surprised. I think they lost by 10, but they were down by 2 at half, and
it was early in the season too, right?
Yeah, it was in early December.
It's a good time to catch a team like Wake Forest. Try to catch them a little bit earlier.
And Wake had just came, off the Maui tournament where they had really turned some heads, and they thought they could just walk over UNCG, and they didn't really give them a chance, I guess. But UNCG actually showed up, and it was a 5 or 6 point game till like 3 minutes left, and they started fouling UNCG. But
college moves quick. Now, what about the spring sports? They're probably about ready to crank up right now, but about set to go.
Yeah, the baseball team has got a lot of buzz going, so I'm sure we'll talk about them a lot come springtime. Softball team actually as well.
Pretty good softball team there.
Yeah, softball team. The coach over there has got a lot of good things going for the Spartans over there.
What about ACC basketball? Your top 5 teams? Who do you have in your top 5?
Top 5. Carolina definitely. That's interesting. I'd say Louisville with Patino, Virginia. Who should have lost to Wake Forest the other night, by the way.
That was the game that Wake Forest lost. It was not the game Virginia won, right?
Right. Yeah, one of my friends actually went to that game, and he said it was ridiculous.
Danny Manning's going to be thinking, what did I get myself into? Sometimes he's not saying quite that. He said close to that. Not saying, he's going to be thinking, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
you love your job. You got to be thinking, man, this is crazy. I got to be able to win half my games.
I was about to say, he's probably thinking, can the ball or can the coin flip in our favor for once or something?
Yeah, but, like the officials said in that one football game, the coin didn't flip. They're going to flip it again.
Right.
In that overtime. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say Louisville, Virginia, Carolina. Even though Duke struggled, I mean, Krzyzewski, they'll be there at the end of the year. And I don't know.
What about a Notre Dame or a Miami? Either one of those teams?
I think Miami. Miami's probably the 5th.
That's a well-coached team, Miami.
It is.
Jim Laranaga's been around forever, and he's still pretty much up to date. That's what I like about it. He's still fairly current.
Watched one of their games the other day, and they were talking about how current he is, keeping up with everything with the players and everything. So that was pretty cool to see.
You look at Duke, State, Wake Forest. You think those guys are just going to be bringing up the bottom of the league? Or you think Duke's going to be right there among the big mix?
Yeah, I think Duke will make a push towards the end of the year. They're going through a rough patch.
Think they can
right
do
now.
some damage in postseason, Duke?
I don't know. I mean, they'll definitely be in the postseason. I don't know if they can make a run. I don't think they had the talent that everybody says. Brandon Ingram, definitely one of the best NBA prospects this year, along with Ben Simmons. But I don't think they're as deep as they usually are, especially with Emil Jefferson out. I'm not sure about Duke. But
State Wake Forest will not make any noise in postseason.
No, I think State will be good just to get to the NCAA tournament.
They'd be glad to get there. I know they would be.
Yeah, they've had an up and down year as well. But
you hope it's not the kind of thing where they have to win the ACC tournament again, because the ACC tournament now goes Monday, Tuesday. They got so many teams. Got to play 7 days a week to get the tournament in.
And it's ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't think Wake Forest will. I think they'd be lucky to get into the NIT.
Who do you say is the top player in the ACC this year? I was thinking about that today. Who do you think?
Man. Coming from a Carolina fan, I'd say Bryce Johnson.
Yep. Bryson mentioned him as a possible. Bryson and Bryce kind of go good anyway. But he mentioned him as a top player for Carolina, definitely. And he might stack up maybe the top player in the league. You think about it?
I hope so. I mean, he's having a memorable senior season.
Should be getting some good money after this. Setting himself up well.
I think he's glad he stayed one more year.
Like you're playing your contract season almost. When he's playing for a contract. The rest of the country. How about other teams? Oklahoma, Kentucky, Oregon, Villanova, Providence. How about those teams out there? The rest of the USA.
Oklahoma definitely. Buddy Hield is leading player of the year candidate right now. I was watching Baylor the other night, and Baylor always tends to make a run in the tournament. I think a lot of Big 12 teams this year that they're really good. You got to look at Kansas. Providence actually is a surprise.
This is a better team than people would think if they hadn't seen him yet. Because I got to see him like some other people did this past Sunday against Villanova on Fox TV. But I think it helped a lot of people see basketball this past weekend because of the weather. Everybody was stuck indoors watching more TV basketball. But a pleasant surprise.
I mean, I know they had a lot of preseason buzz, but I didn't know how they would stack up in the season, even in the Big East. And Chris Dunn is living up to all the
I didn't know anything about him either. But there's a neat story about him with his mom. I think she's now passed away. Ended up going to live maybe with his dad. Got taken in, helped by his coach. Right. And his coach has been through quite a bit too, but it's a good story about that. Get in his brother. He and his brother stuck together the entire time, I think it was.
He's definitely he's a good NBA prospect as well, definitely.
How about the team from the ACC with the best chance of winning it all? Who is that? Winning the whole thing this year?
I'm want to say the Heels.
Sticking it, yeah.
I mean, I know I keep saying
Now, that's the
them.
best team in the ACC, but as far as the whole nation goes, who does win the whole thing this year, you think, college basketball? Is this the year Roy Williams says, hey, I didn't have any problems this year, these guys behaved well, didn't have to make any corrections, any discipline work, I just ran through it nice and smooth this year, won the whole thing?
I would think so. I mean,
Who's going to be the key to their guards? If Marcus Page does not lead the guards, who leads those guards?
Definitely not Nate Britt. I would say, I just blanked on his name.
Jackson?
Jackson's always there, but the other sophomore is Theo, Jackson, and Joel Berry. I think
Mr.
Joel
Berry, yeah. He's a kid that kind of gets forgotten sometimes, too, because he wasn't the kind of name coming in people were very familiar with. We knew about Theo Pinson. Theo's not been the scorer people thought he might be. He's become a better defensive player since
he really has.
He really improves his defense.
He's probably hasn't gotten as many touches as he'd like on offense.
Well, you think he'll still get a chance at the NBA, Theo Pinson? It's going to be tough, isn't it?
I think so. He'll definitely
I think that injury he had, a couple of injuries here, one of those key injuries may have wiped out some of his chances because he missed some time and got kind of a setback.
Yeah, I think if he stays all 4 years, he'll probably have a shot.
He probably needs to stay all 4 years, doesn't he?
He needs to. I think he needs to do what Bryce Johnson did this year.
He may hit a stretch toward the end where the offense comes back. He becomes a player they look to, and I mean, he can get a good shot at the NBA.
For sure. Yeah, but I think if he leaves early, I don't think it'll be good for him. But I think if he stays, he'll definitely have a shot. He's got the, I don't know. He's just a player that's special to me. I followed him when he was at Wesleyan and around here, and it's just incredible to see him, go up through the ranks and hopefully get to the NBA one day.
What happened to some of those other players from around Westchester? They had a few guys there that went out toward Baylor, and they had a couple of guys here and there.
Deuce Bello.
What happened to those guys?
I don't know. I haven't heard really from them. They were coming up when I was in like.
Remember Ike Wamu? He was there too. All those guys.
I think he's at Mercer. I think he may be at Mercer.
Georgia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think UNCG's conference. So when they play Mercer, I'm gonna definitely go check them out. But I was in like the middle school stage then, so I was into basketball, but not really in depth. So I heard the names, but I guess they're still floating around. But a person I played against, Kanayo, who went to New Garden Friends, he's playing up at Longwood.
Doing well, Obi Rapu. Yes, sir.
He's doing very well up there. I remember him just lighting us up in high school. I think we played him twice, and he had at least 40 points.
I think the Level kid actually played against you guys at your place. I was there that night. He did play against you guys.
I think we were one of his last 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, I remember that well. Yeah, at your place. What about the Charlotte Hornets? Are they a playoff team this year, NBA-wise? Charlotte Hornets keep up with those guys any?
I went to a game earlier in the season against the Celtics. I think they actually are.
Did they win the night you went?
They did. And it was kind of a bummer because I went with some buddies who were Celtics fans. They like to rub it in. But I think this is the year for Charlotte, actually.
Once they get everybody back, get everybody healthy at one time. And if I got everybody back, I make everybody take a pact. I want you to swear after me, I will not get hurt again. I will not miss any more games. People will take that.
Because I don't think this year they've had everyone healthy.
They've had 10 guys in the past week. Only 10 guys. 5 guys have been out.
But Kemba playing at an all-star level.
52 points last Monday night. That day it was so cold. He had a hot night against Utah, double overtime. They beat the guy they went after, but he scored pretty well. Gordon Hayward. Remember they wanted Hayward so bad not all season that one year. And then he ended up getting the other guy. I can't remember the guy's name now because he's already moved back out west. But he had 52 that night, had 40 later during the week, Kemba Walker did.
Yeah, he's really stepping up. I think especially the point guard at the point guard position.
That's a lot of points for a point guard, 52 points.
Yeah, he definitely gets overlooked with
just hope he don't overwork the guy. He doesn't carry too much of the load.
Yeah,
don't wear him down.
Point guard, yeah,
don't wear this guy down.
Because the game I went to, he just looked like he was just going 100% all the time. But definitely you have Kemba, you have Jefferson.
Let's go to this next question. Here's the next question for you. Players on the Hornets team that won't be back next season. Al Jefferson, will he be back?
I don't think so.
That injury really slowed him down, and the other problem slowed him down. 2 places getting toward the twilight of his career.
In the post,
yeah, they do. Got Kaminsky, got Zeller, guys like that. Even got Hansbrough. They haven't come up any. Don't hear much about Tyler Hansbrough, but he's there. What about Jeremy Lin? Will he be back next year? Is he just a transit player?
I think he's just a transit player.
Yeah.
I think he's in that stage of his career.
He gave him a good
where
shot of
he's
offense last Saturday. He had, I think, 28 points tonight that P.J. Harrison had 20. So
Right. I
gives us
think
some offense.
he's one of those players now that kind of is just going to go from team to team.
Yeah, and just help people out
Right.
when you're Band-Aid, a Band-Aid type guy.
Yeah, for sure.
What about P.J. Harrison? Will he be back? He's behaved pretty well this year.
I think
Hasn't
he'll
had much
be
trouble
back.
this year.
I think he'll be back.
He
but,
started a lot of games this year.
He really has.
It's amazing.
I wish he would shoot more, to be honest.
Yeah, he's getting more rebounds this year. He's playing more forward than he is guard lately, which is kind of crazy.
It seems like he's only shooting 4 or 5 shots, but getting 6 or 8 boards a game. I think he'll be back, but I think Kid Gilchrist will start. But I think he'll come off the bench and help.
What about a guy like Tyler Hansbrough? Is he there just for the time being?
I think so. He doesn't really see that much playing time. I think he's towards the bottom of the lineup, and he's kind of just, in and out.
What about a guy like Cody Zeller? Will he be around for a while?
I think he'll be. I think he's the future of their
Inside.
postman, him and Kaminsky, for sure, down low.
All-star level, Kemba Walker got to be the all-star.
Got to be. He's got to see them go up the rankings and to try to advance in the playoffs.
We were talking about the kid from Wisconsin a little bit. Almost forgot his name. They're trying to remember that guy, Frank Kaminsky. He's got to do more, right?
I think so. The game I went to, he had 23 or 25 a season high.
It's
but
not a bad game.
He's got a lot of potential, and I think he'll live up to it. I think he'll do well for the Hornets.
I guess you just got to take a guy like that and be patient. But when you draft big men, and you draft big men pretty much every year, sometimes your patience starts to wear a little bit thin.
Especially when he's a top 10 pick.
Oh, yeah. You expect automatically the guy's going to score 15 points a game, get at least maybe 7 or 8 rebounds. Maybe not 10 initially, but give me 7 or 8 rebounds anyway.
Yeah, the thing for him, he likes to shoot a lot, so he likes to hang
He was
around
always
the
a good
three-point
three-point
line.
shooter in college, wasn't he? Great
really
three-point
was.
shooter. Yeah. Back to the Panthers in the Super Bowl. What's the end result? What do you think? Do they win by 2 touchdowns or more? Can they win by that much? You feel like they're going to win. I know you do, but can they win by 2 touchdowns?
I think it'll be a close game, actually. Pretty much Peyton's last hurrah, I think, and I think it'll be probably a 7 to 10 point game. But
that Denver defense, I mean, it used to be their offense for a lot of years. When they had John Elway, I thought more of them for their offense. I was watching that game yesterday somewhere between Denver and Green Bay when John Elway got, I think, maybe his first Super Bowl win. They had this guy named Terrell Davis. He was a big name back in the day, Terrell Davis, yeah. And they had Clinton Portis. Always had some great running backs in that Denver team back in those days.
Right. And now it seems like, they have decent running backs, but it seems like their receiving core is just unbelievable.
Open things up. Cam Newton. Is it good to have him on that center stage like he is? I mean, he's getting a lot of attention. Plus, he goes. If he were to walk in now and if the place looked busy, he would just go crazy. He goes crazy over just about anything.
I think it is. I think personally that's his personality. That's what he lives for, is to be in the spotlight and be in the
It's
moment.
almost like he's got that energy built up over a number of years. He's just letting it all out now.
Yeah, it's like he held it over high school and college and gets to
I don't remember him being like that in college, do you?
No, definitely not. He gets to let it go.
We got to call Gene Chizik. He was his coach at Auburn, right? Call Chizik. Say, what was he like when you had him down in Auburn? What kind of player was he? Was he an extrovert then? Because he definitely has become one now.
He's definitely broken out of his shell.
If there was a shell, he broke it in half. He sure did.
I love to see it, definitely.
What about this weekend in sports for you? What starts for you coming up this weekend covering sports, fun and sports? What are you going to be doing?
Probably check out some UNCG hoops. They had a game today. I saw they were up by, I think, 10 in the first half.
UNCG men? Who are they playing today?
They are playing the Citadel.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
any win's a good win, no matter what this time of the year.
Yeah,
you're in a conference.
Especially on the
take
road.
Take them all.
Yeah. I'll probably check out definitely some college basketball that I can, NBA as well.
Well, we're going to let you roll.
Awesome.
Did a good job as always. Going to have you back again sometime during the season. Make sure you get your password for Don. Get that password for the website so you guys will be typing in directly now. So they're going to come by me. We're going to get you directly to the site, get your own entry system where you guys can go in and develop your own post and edit those posts, do all those things.
Awesome.